Now, the following question comes from Jess Ahart. And these questions are for John Barron and Ashwani Jain. About 29,000 students, or 75% of Baltimore City's public, middle, and high school students rely on public transportation to travel to school. We need the red line to make school choice a reality. Do you support pushing MTA to restart development of the red line east to west light rail? And we'll start with you, Mr. Barron.
Yes, so I strongly support an effective east-west transit solution in Baltimore. Very likely the red line. I'm proud of our congressional delegation for putting that to the top of the federal priority list for study. And based on the results of that study, I think we'll see what comes out of it, but the red line is probably the best option. I've talked about the problems earlier in transit with students. So let me address, take the liberty here of addressing a little bit the question about recruiting and retaining good teachers. In addition to the traditional approaches, which I agree with, of raising teacher pay, making sure they're competitive, we need innovative approaches to bring highly capable people and to test many different innovative methods of bringing capable people into the schools to become good teachers. As I mentioned before, one of my main initiatives is a statewide initiative to provide high quality tutoring to every struggling first and second grader in the state, doing it by recruiting an army of people from the community, retirees and recent college graduates, to become tutors for a modest stipend as a public service. That's going to work. That's going to bring kids up toward grade level by third grade. The evidence all says that. It's one of the most effective things we can do. But also, for those tutors who are exceptional, who are very good with the students, both interpersonally and at teaching them and bringing them up toward grade level, there should be a path for them to become regular public school teachers. I mean, so that's one of my top priorities, a tutor to teacher pipeline. We would try it initially as a sizable demonstration project, see if it works, see if these tutors are actually good teachers when they're brought into the schools. If it does, expand it statewide.
Yeah, so back in January of 2021, a year and a half ago, we had a very comprehensive infrastructure plan that included finishing and funding the red line, finishing the purple line, creating a Southern Maryland rapid transit project. One part of my Maryland Now plan is actually to make public transit completely free for every resident. So whether you were a student trying to get to school, someone with a disability, an elder individual, or anyone in between who's just trying to get to and from school, trying to get to and from a healthcare center, to and from work, you are actually able to do so. All these things are an economic argument, it's an educational argument, it's a civil rights argument, it's a human rights argument, as well as a climate change argument. So that's why we've been very steadfast for the last year and a half on these issues. And one of the questions that always I get when I'm talking about these all over the state is, oh, we're not going to have enough money to pay for these. Not only, as you alluded to in the very beginning, these are investments in the residents of Maryland, but we had the money. We had the money when we spent taxpayer dollars to develop the red line. We were getting money from the federal government, but our current governor decided, nope, not for Black and brown neighborhoods. We don't want to do that. We also have a budget surplus. We also voted in 2007 for slots and were promised that that money would go to public schools, but again, had a governor that decided, nope, we're not going to actually invest in public schools. And thankfully, thanks to our Maryland delegates and Maryland senators who override his vetoes all the time, and then he takes the credit for it, we were actually able to make some meaningful progress. And one of the main priorities I would have as governor is making sure we're not leaving people behind. We're doing what works. We're looking at everything in a comprehensive way. And we're not forgetting about the people who are impacted by everything we're talking about out here on stage.